Hi guys, welcome to another MTM video. Today we have a common problem that's on the Citroen C1s, the Toyota Aygos and the Peugeot 107s, that the indicators don't work properly. So you flick the switch and it doesn't want to flick it. It makes a very bad connection, so it kind of flicks on, flicks off, or it just doesn't work at all. So in this case it's just making a bad connection, so it'll flick on a couple of times and flick off. So we're going to go ahead and replace it. So we're going to show you how. So if you turn the steering wheel 90 degrees, you'll see the Phillips head screw. There's one each side. You need to undo these if you want to take off the top cowling. When the two screws are out, you'll be able to just pop off the top cowling and you'll be able to maneuver it around the gauge. There's one more screw underneath, which is just holding on the bottom part of the steering column cover. Removing this bottom cover can be a little bit fiddly. I'd recommend adjusting the steering wheel all the way out just to give you as much room as possible. The next thing we want to do is remove the airbag, so we need to disconnect the battery and leave it for half an hour to an hour for everything to decharge. Just using a 10mm, you can take off the negative terminal and just leave it to one side. So on the back of the steering wheel, you can see that there's a Torx bit that holds on the airbag. You just need to loosen these off and you'll be able to remove the airbag, no problem at all. This setup is one of the easiest to replace. When the airbag is loose, you want to gently tilt it forward so you can look at the wiring to see how it runs. And you can see that there's a little yellow tab which indicates that it's for the airbag. And you can just prise the security clip up and she'll pop out. The other wire is for the horn, so you can just disconnect that from the plug on the base of the steering wheel. Setting the airbag to one side, you can now get a 19 socket. I'm using an impact gun just to crack it off quickly. Before we go any further, it's a good idea to mark the steering wheel where it sits on the steering column. Sometimes there's a cutout or a marking already for you to line them up, but in this case there isn't one, so I'm using a Sharpie just to mark where to line up later on. You can put the securing nut back on a couple of threads and give the steering column a little bit of a tap just to free up the steering wheel so it'll come off. Make sure you use a soft hammer because you don't want to damage anything. Now that you can see the assembly, you can start unplugging the units. All of these plugs are different sizes, so they'll only go back into one place, so you don't need to keep note of where everything goes. When you're trying to remove the clock spring, make sure that it doesn't rotate accidentally. You want to make sure that it goes back on in the exact same position in which it came off. This houses the wiring for the horn and the airbag. You want to be careful because it only has so many rotations left and right, so if you refit it back in the wrong place, you can go a rotation too many when everything is back together and it could break apart. When you've removed the clock spring and all the wiring, you can use a long nose pliers to release a clip on the back of the steering column and release the whole unit. You can see that our replacement doesn't come with the wiper controls, so you're going to have to remove it from the old unit and swap it over. It's just one plastic clip and you can release it using a pick. It snaps into place and now we can fit it back to the car. Using the long nose pliers again, you can hold the clip open as you slot the unit back over the steering column. You'll hear it click into place when it's in the right position. When you're ready, you can start reattaching all the multi-plugs. All these are different sizes, so they'll only go into one place. You don't have to worry about putting in the wrong plug.
When reattaching the clock spring, you just want to be extra careful that you don't accidentally rotate it too far one way, and it'll just clip into place. There's 3 little clips around it and the multi-plug that fits into the bottom. When you're refitting the steering wheel, you want to make sure the wire is safely put through as it was before, and you can line up the teeth with the markings that you made earlier. When you're ready, you can put the secure nut back onto the steering column. You can use a gun to nip it up, but always double check it with a ratchet. Plug the horn back in first, and then you can reattach the airbag wiring. Gently tilt it back up into its position, making sure that you don't catch any of the wires. When it's sitting back in the correct position, you won't hear any kind of positive clip like you would normally would, but make sure that it's held in the right position, and then you can nip it back up with those Torx bits from earlier. When the airbag is correctly wired up and correctly fitted back to the car, you can reconnect the battery. Now all we have to do is refit all the panelling, so you can just slot this back into place and make sure that you don't forget the one screw that's holding it on underneath. Once you've refitted the top cowling, you can fit those 2 screws that are opposite each other. Now that it's all done, give it a test. Left's working, right's working fine, and that's it.
And that is it for this week's video, guys. That's how we go about replacing the indicator stalk on these Citroen C1s. Remember, it's the same on the Peugeots and the Toyotas, so just keep that in mind if you're going to be working on one of those. But yeah, so thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click here to see more. Cheers, thanks.